and good day. Thank you for joining us. I am Tamara Scott. We're glad to have you along. We always appreciate coming onto the show on Wednesdays, that middle of the day, that middle of the week, giving you news that you can use that you often don't get anywhere else. And today is one of those days. I am so honored to have in studio with me just a gem, a lovely individual that I have been so honored to meet. You've heard us talk before on other stories with Deb Bowen, the author and the coordinator who helped us tell or hear the story of so many Holocaust survivors. We've had her discuss those books before, and I'll show a couple of those other books on screen. For those of you who are watching on screen, it is webcastonelive.com, webcastonelive.com every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central. For those of you who are wanting archives, you can go on to Tamara Scott Live on YouTube and soon on tamarascott.com. There's The War and the Boy. There's one of the books. We Are One, one of the books we've discussed. And I'm so pleased today to be talking about The Lucky Lie. I have the individual this book is featuring in my studio, and I got to meet David Wolnerman a couple weeks ago. I was taken. I was just absolutely taken. I, wept on the way home because I thought how close I came to never meeting such a gentle, kind, loving person. But for the decision of one who would tell him to go to the right or to the left, and what a people were allowing to take place in the world. I was so thankful for the opportunity to meet him. I memorized the number on his arm. I'm not good with numbers, but I had memorized that number on his arm, 160344. And I'm so pleased to have him in studio today. David Wolnerman is with me, and his son Michael is joining me as well, and I'm so thankful for both of them. And we're going to hear the story right from his lips to your ears. Why? Because you need to understand. You hear it, it's a saying, we take it far too lightly, that history, if we don't know it, will repeat itself. And if we are so foolish to ever forget our history and allow this to repeat itself again, I honestly don't know that we'll have salvation for a people, liberation for a country, a restoration for individuals and families like we've been able to have for many this time. I don't know that it will be so good for any of us. So even in the midst of this tragedy and the story that we're going to hear, I want you to hear the good that came out of it and the triumph of this individual and one man's strength and the blessings of God over his life. So help me welcome David Wolnerman. David, thank you so much for being with me.
It was a pleasure.
So tell our listeners, if you will, you lived in Poland. What area of Poland?
Close to Krakow.
Close to Krakow, which for our listeners, I had the privilege, the honor, the pleasure of getting to be in Poland last November. I love that God must know I need visual aids. And he lets me go and see these things for myself before then I get to meet people like you who have been there. So you lived where at in Poland?
The city, small city, Modrzejów.
Mondjojew?
Modrzejów.
And how far away was that from Krakow?
About 20 miles.
20 miles.
20 kilometers.
20 kilometers. So tell our listeners, about life before any of this story took place? How was life for you?
I was young. It was a small town. The town had one policeman, one doctor, and one car.
And what year, what time of this?
Well, this was from I was born 1927.
1927. Okay, so this would have been 1930-ish, 1934. Okay.
1939, I went to camp.
1939. When you say you went to camp, did you just willingly go?
I went to camp because the SS come to the town and say, if you go, your mother will be saved.
So you were at home with your mother
and my sister, my older sister.
And your older sister.
Right.
Your father was?
My father passed away 3 months before.
Okay.
Died. He had asthma. And in Poland, we didn't have no medication for it.
For asthma.
that time.
Okay.
And he died 3 months before that.
So your family was somewhat in financial need?
We were poor.
You're poor.
We didn't stay on the street in a few pennies, but I
Right.
mean,
So when the SS came to your house, they offered you,
he said, if you go to work, your mother go be saved. I said, okay, I'm going.
how old were you?
13 years old.
So at 13, they offer you, and when they say go to work, did you think you would get up at 8 a.m., leave your house, and go to work, or did they say you would come to camp?
He told me to work, but that it was we called it camp because it was a small camp. The first camp was a small one. It was 120 kids.
And is that what we know
And
today
this
as
is the start of number one.
Auschwitz?
Not
No,
Auschwitz.
it
This was
wasn't even
before
Auschwitz.
Auschwitz.
This was before.
After this, we went to Auschwitz.
Okay, so
Because-
you knew you were going to a camp.
Right. Because we had to be together, you know what I mean. He didn't took us to a hotel.
Right, right. So did you wear your work clothes? Did you wear
The clothes I had.
just clothes you had? And one morning,
And then took 2 loaves of bread with me.
2 loaves of bread.
My mother gave me the bread.
And when you left, you really thought you would go back home.
We didn't think about different things, you know what I mean.
You just,
I thought we go to work and when it's over, we come back.
did you think you would come back that night?
This I don't think so, the first night, but I mean, I thought we come back. But after we got to camp, the thought was different.
So at 13 years old, you went to camp, you went to work so that your family, you thought they would have provisions, they would be taken care of if you went to work. You got to camp, and it was the first camp, not even Auschwitz.
Before Auschwitz. A small camp, 120 people.
So when you walked in, what did you find?
Empty room. And beds up and down, you know.
Bunk beds?
No bed. But
No
3
bed.
of them. Three lines.
And so when did you realize this was not a work camp?
Well, it was a work camp. I mean, we worked on the street, you know, on the highway,
Right?
helping and everything.
Okay.
And later on, he sent us to Auschwitz, the Birkenau.
About how much later, do you know?
A few months later.
A few months later. So you went from this camp with 120. When you went to Auschwitz, was it fully constructed when you went?
What do you mean?
When I went this last fall, there were several buildings. Were they already there when you went, or did the prisoners help
It
build
was
it?
already.
It was already there. Was the fence all the way around?
Electric.
Back in the 40s, they had electric fence.
Everything electric fence. Because women separate and men separate. And sometimes you try to escape or something, it was electrocuted.
Do you remember how many people escaped from Auschwitz?
No, because
I
I was too young and I didn't look for nothing, something like this.
I should have studied my notes. I think it was less than 30. And I don't think any of them made it but one.
Not too many could escape.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No.
So when you got to Auschwitz, what did you realize about?
We didn't realize that. We didn't realize at all. We had this brains like a cow.
Which is your way of saying you were just there. You weren't thinking it.
That's it.
You were 13. How long were you in Auschwitz?
In Auschwitz, I was a year. Later on, I went to Warsaw. This was from Auschwitz.
Okay.
After they bombed the ghetto, to clean up and everything. And I stayed over there a year because the Russian was coming closer.
Okay.
So they took us out outside from the barracks for 24 hours. No food, no milk, no water, no nothing, because they wanted to be us tired in case you wanted to run away or something. We started to walk. And we walked a few days, And later we went on the train like the cows, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we wind up in Dachau.
And you ended up in Dachau? Were you in Dachau before you were in Birkenau? Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Don't know. I was in Birkenau before.
You were in Birkenau before? Okay. That's what I thought because...
Right, because I was liberated not quite in Dachau, because they took us out from Dachau on the plane, on the trains, in and back, because they thought maybe you go up, and, you know. Because the American was coming closer and closer and closer.
When you were in the camp, at what point did you realize you were a prisoner? You went there thinking you were going to work for your family, but at what point did you realize you were a prisoner?
It's because it's the muscle, you know. And again, altogether it was, in the place where I lived, you know, was like a horse for horses.
Mm-hmm. Stables. It was. In Birkenau, it certainly was.
Right. And they make it 3 layers, you know.
Yes. Yes, and they said sometimes as many as 10 people would stay on that loft just to stay warm because we could see underneath the walls there's open air ventilation. I mean, you were not protected from the elements whatsoever other than that wooden wall. How many people were at Auschwitz when you were there?
They didn't stay too long.
Right.
I saw thousands of dead people waiting for the burning, waiting for the oven.
You did?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I took myself a pair of shoes because I used to have the wooden shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And a jacket. Well, didn't take too long till I come to, this was in Birkenau. And I come to Auschwitz, they took it away.
In Auschwitz, they took it away?
But I took it from the dead people.
Because it was survival.
Right. It was cold.
All right. We're going to take our first break here. It's already 19 past the hour. I'm surprised how quickly this is going. We're going to take our first break. We need to thank our sponsors. We want to thank Crave, Christians Reviving American Values Every Day, Christians for America. We thank them for sponsoring the show. We thank Webcast One Studios for making this possible. I'm talking with David Wolnerman. If you'd like to hear about this story, you can go to a bookbyme.com. Deb Bowen is the one who makes these available. What she's done is just a beautiful, absolutely beautiful idea. She connects Holocaust survivors with students, elementary students through high school students, and they write the story. And it, as only children can do without any bias, they just do a beautiful job of not sparing details, as you can see by the illustration, but just telling it without any of the adult biases we might have. And also what it does, it allows them to tell the story, and adults are less likely to criticize the work of a child and just read it. So she's really giving this beautiful generation, not just to the next generation, but to 3 and 4 generations down as these kids are writing these stories. And if you'd like to learn more, bookbyme.com, but you could get these available in your schools. We're trying to get these in as many public schools, libraries, maybe your local library. Maybe you want to buy a set. I've told her I want to buy a whole set and have them available for young people that I know. Make sure that they can read about this. We'll be right back after these messages. I thank you for staying tuned.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's Amco on Hickman Road in front of Kmart, and it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give Amco on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
I am Tamara Scott. Thank you for staying tuned with us as we're talking with David Wolnerman, Holocaust survivor, and his son Michael is also in studio. Michael, we really even haven't said goodbye. Good morning to you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking the time to bring your father down here so we could hear his story. I really appreciate
It's a
it.
pleasure.
And you're welcome to interject at any point if I'm failing to ask the right question, you pop
Okay.
in there because
Terrific.
this to me, your dad is a treasure.
Thank you.
And I just want, my hope for this interview is that people will hear it and understand, one, what we
If it
almost
wouldn't
lost.
be for you, I wouldn't come.
You are so sweet.
I'm true. I'm telling the truth.
I can't remember if I said this on air or not already, but I had to go home that day and tell my husband I fell in love with another man today. He's just the sweetest gem, just a treasure. You
Thank
captured
you.
my
Thank you.
heart.
Thank you.
You captured my heart. So, and this is my urgency is that, but for the grace of God, I would not have gotten to know you.
Mm-hmm.
But one man's decision that you go to the right or the left, we would have never known you and thus never had you.
Right.
A
And
generation.
this was God, because 13 years old, in Europe, you don't have the brains like over here. And was God give me to say it, the lie.
To lie that you were 18. So let's go back. So when you went to 13, when you said you were 13, was that when they took you to the work camp or was that after?
This is when I come over there to the doctor and
Singular.
Dr. Mingala
Lingelo.
in
And
Birkenau.
he stayed in with a stick and he said left or right before the number.
And I have this photo. I cannot get it on my computer right now. I have the photo of Dr. Mingala.
Yeah.
I do, with Jewish people in front of him getting off the train. So he would say with a stick, and he would say, was it to the right? If it was to the right, it was
To the right was good.
good. To the left,
Left was going straight to the crematorium.
right to the
And
crematorium.
I saw kids and all the people and everything going left. I say to myself, I got problems. Finally, I come over and he ask me, how old are you? Wie alt bist du? In German.
Wie alt bist du?
This is in German. How old are you?
Wie alt bist du?
I say 18. Don't we go right?
And you knew you had made the right decision.
I don't know why I made that decision because I didn't have no brains for making decisions.
So you totally give God
God give it to me.
credit.
Right.
So you went to the right.
Right.
What did they
and
do
I'm
next?
alive.
Yeah. What point did they give you your number?
After a while, after you had to go through again to tattooing to get the number.
And so while we were off air, we were on a break. You were talking about they would put you on the train back and forth to Warsaw to clean up after the bombing,
Right.
and you would get to see family members in front. No.
No.
Where was it that you gave them the message?
He was in camp. That's all. And he was very sick over there. Over there we had the lice and everything. It was a very, very bad camp
Where was it that you got typhoid?
in Warsaw.
Warsaw.
But in Auschwitz, this was from Auschwitz.
Okay. And so when was it then that you went? Was your job to put people in out of the ovens or in the ovens?
In Birkenau, I worked over there a few days because I was young. I didn't know how to finagle a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Straight.
How old would you have been during this time?
13 and a half, 14.
For us as Americans, we see our 13 and 14-year-olds
Enjoying life.
at the
Next
movies.
to me was working on. He had his own father and mother. He had to throw it
Oh,
going through.
the other
Right.
prisoner with you. I can't even
The
imagine.
son had to see the mother and the father going through.
Did that particular man survive the camp?
I
You don't know
exactly.
because you lose contact with each other. So then they took you to Dachau.
Dachau was the last camp.
It was the last camp. And how many camps were you in altogether?
Maybe 10, 12.
See, you're a walking miracle that you survived one.
I was in different camps, smaller camps, bigger camps, Theresienstadt. Lots of camps I don't even remember.
For you to have survived one, God had a very special
Right,
care on
right,
you.
Right. I'm a strong believer. I don't do what the Ten Commandments tell me to do, everything. But I believe in God strong, very strong.
In Dachau, at what point did you hear where the Allied troops might be getting closer, might be...
Because he was on the trains already from Dachau.
Oh.
In and back, in and back, in and back. So finally we saw it. The SS is disappearing.
They were
So we
disappearing?
run away. But they caught us. We ran away 2 days too early. So they took us back. I was lucky. He didn't shoot me or something.
Right. Because
Some of them run away and went to farmers or something, hide it or something, you know what I mean. I didn't understand this. I was too young. And I was watching not to get hurt. Because the minute you get hurt over there, if you steal something or something, 3 days later you're dead. Automatically.
And so, when you're in Dachau and the liberation's taking place, could you actually believe it was actually happening? Were you?
Well, I tell you, we didn't believe on nothing. We didn't think about nothing. We never talk about the mother, about the father, about
Right.
the brothers or sisters or something, politics. No, we didn't never had a paper. We didn't know the date. If it's Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, nothing. Just like a cow. That's all we were talking is bread, bread, and bread.
Survival.
That's it. Example, we were 10 kids together. And we had one fella, he was about 15 years older. He was like the father to us. If he tell us, sit down, walk, walk. He was sitting and he got up and he said, listen, if SS men come to you and tell you, I give you all the bread you wanted, as much as you can eat, and I shoot you, what would you do? Everyone from us say, give us the bread and shoot us.
Because life was so miserable.
Not even one come out and say, no, maybe I will live or something, this, nothing. That's all. That's all was the answer. From the younger one to the older one. Give me the bread, shoot me.
So apparently the guards never ask you that particular question.
No.
This question was posed to me while we were in Birkenau. There were thousands of you as prisoners, thousands, and only so many guards. Someone said 26. I don't know if there were more. I don't know. But why did the prisoners not fight back? If they could outnumber the guards.
I'll give you the example.
Yes.
When we were in Warsaw, the Russian was coming closer. Why the Russian coming closer? He saw the aeroplanes coming around, the camps, everything, the lights, and everything. He didn't bump it. The Russian was closer. But the Polish saw people, they saw the Russian closer, they start to fight. Because they thought the Russian is coming, maybe in a day or so, we could be something, they go get medals or something. They went back. Over 100,000 Polish people got killed.
In that short time.
Short time. We were lucky. They took us out for 24 hours from the barracks on the field. No water, no bread, no nothing. Just in case, like you say, maybe we could try to do something.
Uprising.
But we were too weak.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. We had a wagon, but no horse. It was an empty wagon going behind. If you get sick, you couldn't walk anymore. So they put you in the wagon. The wagon filled up. They took you in a corner and they shoot them all.
Mm-hmm.
The wagon was empty again. So every place I did, God was with me.
He had to be, time and again.
Because first of all, I didn't have the brains to say, I want to go on the wagon. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Were you praying while you were there?
We didn't have no praying books or something.
Mm-hmm.
We prayed ourselves.
In your heart. Mm-hmm.
Okay, my wife, example. She didn't know nothing about Jewish. She wanted to meet me to the synagogue. In Miami. Fancy synagogue, everything. We do have 2,000 members. Rich. She always asked me, Dave, what page? Because we had the Bible, English, and in Hebrew.
Hebrew.
So I told her, 25. A few minutes later, again, she asked me what page. Her name is Jenny, but we call her Janka, because the Polish name is Janka.
That's beautiful.
Okay. I say, Janka, any page for you is good. Just open up any page, you know.
It's true.
And the whole synagogue knew. The rabbi, everybody knows. They walk away and say, Jenny, Janka, what page?
But God was in her heart. And that's what
She
mattered
prayed.
to her.
She
Right.
prayed twice, the whole day. Charity, never refused.
Yeah. Right. But you're right.
My
It was
wife,
in the
She
heart.
said
My
it's
wife.
in her heart.
And along with that, can we tell the story about your friend who was so strong in his religion
Oh.
before?
Right.
Tell our listeners about that.
I met him. I met mine in Munich. I was walking and I met my brother's friend.
This is after, how many years after?
This was 1945, 46, maybe,
Okay.
or something, 46 and a half. So he was very religious before, with the dress and everything, you know. And he said, so I asked him, you so religious, how come you dressed up so beautiful with a tie, everything, modern? He said, I don't believe in God anymore. I said, you were such a believer, you know what I mean? You were second to God to us. He said, where was God when we throw the kids in alive in the gas chamber? The kids are not communist or Jewish or not. He didn't know nothing. I didn't have no answer. He asked me, how about you? You believe in God? I say, I believe in God more than ever. And I told him I had typhus, high fever, no medication, no bread, no water, no doctor, nothing. And I'm alive. Had to be God.
Had to be.
He didn't have no answer for me. I didn't have no answer for him.
And
It's no answer.
as Michael and I said, it's the journey that each of us has to walk on our own.
Right.
Our faith journey is what we have to come to a realization.
I still, at the end, and I talk to people, I say, you have to forget, to forgive,
Forgive.
but don't forget.
Right. Right.
But lots of people, if I talk to my friends or something, they probably would hate me.
They have different opinions of that.
Because how can you forget? How can you forgive? You know what I mean?
But if you
But I say it's the one who was bad, they are not alive anymore. It's, you know, we have to try to
But
forgive.
what you're talking
Forgive.
about is a problem
forgive.
for so many people today. We have such a hard time forgiving someone of a minor offense.
Well, this is my philosophy. Forgive, but don't forget.
Yeah.
If not, I wouldn't do the books. 20 years ago, if you would ask me, I wouldn't even talk about this.
Well, and why didn't you talk about it?
Because I was younger. I didn't think about education for kids or this, you know what I mean?
Right.
I was busy. When I come to this country, I didn't have nothing. Some people come in, they were thinking, coming to America, that money would be on the street. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
One fella saw $50 on the street. He said, why should I pick up the $50? I can get places more. So he walked farther. He saw $20. I didn't pick up the 50. Why should I pick up the 20? He went finally find it till he didn't find nothing. He went back, he didn't find nothing. He didn't get nothing. Because, you think, I was different. I come over here, they give me a few dollars and a ticket to go on the bus to Cleveland. I said, give me a job. We got time here. I got myself a job. I was in printing, a pressman in the paper.
Tamara, my father knew that in America, if you worked hard and saved your money, you can do something with that. And one thing that he's always said to me and my brother, there's only two of us, my brother and I, was one thing that Hitler couldn't take away. Took away his sister, his brother, his mom, other family. Couldn't take away what he had in his head. Couldn't take away the education that he learned in America.
I don't have no
My
education.
grandmother says that same thing.
Funny.
I don't have no education. I didn't finish third grade.
Oh.
In Europe, you start when you're 8 years old. You don't have no kindergarten, preschool or something, nothing like this. 8 years, first class. You pass. If not, you stay another year. I didn't finish third grade because the war started and everything.
Right.
This is the education I have.
You have quite
But
an
I
education.
learned lots of education from people.
Right. Right. And I'll tell you what, in America, we have almost made education, we've made education our God.
I
We've
still
made
have my
knowledge our
first
idol.
dollar I made in America.
Mm-hmm.
You still have your first dollar?
The first dollar.
You
in
are so sweet.
1950.
And I'm here to tell you, I think he's got a few more of them since then, too.
Stashed. Yeah, yeah.
This country was very good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's go back. When you were liberated from Dachau, first off, what was it like when the troops came in? Were you...
General Eisenhower liberated him.
Was General Eisenhower there?
I saw General Eisenhower, not in he was in Dachau, but I saw him personally in Yom Kippur.
Okay.
He come to DP camp.
Displaced persons.
Displaced
Displaced
persons.
persons. Mm-hmm.
This was not too far away. In Yom Kippur, I went from my little town. We drove over there for the holiday, and he arrived. So I remember the rabbi and got a plate with a bread with salt. This is what he did maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years ago. If a king like some people like this come in, you greet them with a piece of bread with salt.
Okay.
Okay, he was there. First of all, he said to the police, I don't need you guys. Get away. I'm not afraid. So he was mingling, the soldiers on the way, everything. Had a speech. Well, half hour. We didn't understand because I was too fluent in English. And he left. But he was very, very good to us. He'll never forget. Even the paper over here. The granddaughter.
Is in here?
Page, the end page. The last page.
The last page.
No, I did.
Here,
The last.
I'll hand it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Oops. I reach. Okay. On the back of your book, Mary Jean Eisenhower. I started to read the materials and stories, and I could not put them down. It was so powerful to read both the students' interpretation as well as the direct stories from the survivors themselves. I have many times researched and studied the Holocaust, but these stories bring the experience to life. Mary Jean Eisenhower, CEO, People to People International, granddaughter of President Dwight Eisenhower.
Eisenhower was very, very good to us when we got liberated and everything, because he was there. He saw it. It's not just what you see in television or something.
Right.
He saw it himself. Well, good, nice. You could talk. Some people could talk to him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Same like now, General Orr.
Major General Orr and my father have a really unique bond. Major General of the Iowa National
the
Guard.
4-star.
Okay,
The 4-star
sure.
general.
Very good.
He was on the dedication, and I met him before. Not I met him. Michael did it. When they dedicate the memorial, he was there. And he was talking because he was in Dachau, and he was with Eisenhower. He knows.
He knew
knows
Eisenhower?
Very, very close
He heard the
friend of
stories
So-
of Eisenhower.
You're talking about the memorial here at the Iowa State Capitol?
Correct.
Right,
The only one in
right.
the country that has it
Okay.
on their Capitol grounds.
I know. I'm so pleased. I'm so very proud of
So I was
Iowa.
there.
Iowa.
He was there, the general, the speaker. He found out that I am a survivor from Dachau. So how to get it? So they got the
Lieutenant
paper,
Governor
the
asked
newspaper,
to
you know,
meet with
Michael.
us.
He called Michael and everything. They got it, and he wanted to see me.
I was wondering if you
He
would
would
share
see me.
that.
So for 2 days and 2 nights, I didn't sleep, I didn't eat, I didn't talk to nobody. I say, how do I talk to him? Hey, you mister, I never have this kind of occasion. So Michael said, Dad, maybe it'll be 10 minutes. What can he talk to you? What can you talk to him? You know, like, an hour and a half almost.
Oh, I'm sure.
And he gave me this.
And let's put this in the camera. Explain to our viewers and our listeners what this is.
It's got the Iowa. There's only 2 logos in the state of Iowa, or seals, I should say. One is from the governor's office, and one is from Major General Orr's office, and it has that insignia on there. It's given to, typically, it's given to troops that have been had shown courage and other things for the state, and in their representation. Typically, it has no stars on there, but that flag has 2 stars, and you can't get any more than 2 stars. And he gave one to my father for my father's courage and dedication, and certainly for his experiences that he's sharing today.
And it is your dedication. It is your bravery, your ability to come back and to share these memories with all of us. It's nice and heavy too.
But he's never
Now-
taken that out of his pocket ever since
he
it was
showed
given
to
to
me
him.
when I got to meet him the last
Now
time.
we are invited. He invited us to.
There's a special event next week on Camp Dodge pool grounds on Thursday. and
everything to him.
My dad asked, Major General Orr asked for my dad's presence to be there this week.
Thank you for going. See, thank you for doing this interview. I know you shared your story a couple weeks ago, but we have to have you teach the rest of us so that we'll be so careful not to let this happen again. Oh, this is it. May 21st.
Right.
He's the secretary.
He's your agent. He keeps your. So at the Iowa National Guard Diversity Day, May 21st, 2015, 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. It looks like quite a lineup as well. I appreciate you going. You must go as long as you're able. You must.
I will.
Because the rest of us need to hear the
yes.
story.
The general, yes. To this general, I will go even fight.
We
The
need
soldiers
to,
need to know why they're doing what they do.
exactly.
And that's a big part of it. They have to see what it is that soldiers of perhaps my dad's generation have done to bring my dad to this point, which he's so grateful and thankful and tells me to appreciate it every day. And I do. But it's interesting how it's coming around now where he's able to want to do that. And I'm
Yes.
thrilled that he is.
Yes. We're going to take a break here. We've got our last break. We'll come right back after this. And when we come back, will you share the story of your number?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages.
Matter of fact, I got a letter from Canada.
Dad, do you want to open
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid,
I am Bernie Hobbs,
and I'm the service manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed right or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team,
I'll take a call anytime.
and then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
And thank you for staying tuned. I am Tamara Scott. You are watching and listening to a very special interview. My guest in studio is David Wolnerman. David Wolnerman is one of the sweetest gentlemen I have ever met in my life. He captured my heart in an hour's conversation. He is a survivor of Auschwitz, Birkenau, Dachau, and several other camps. He's a walking miracle. The promise that God gave to Israel is to the Israelites, is to the Jew. And it's evident in David's life that God had his hand, though he allowed you to go through horrible situations that we just simply cannot comprehend today. It is clearly evident that he had his hand upon you and preserved you to tell those stories, perhaps to preserve us and stop us from experiencing them again. Michael, we're going to talk about the number on your dad's arm. As you were growing up, did he share the stories with you?
Well, I was a young boy, and so, I would ask him sometimes what the number means. A couple things. One, if you add up the number, 160344, it adds up to the number 18, which is significant to Jews because it's life. The number just represents life.
When you add up the sum, 1 plus 6 plus 0 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4, that's equals 18.
Exactly. And that may have had a huge impact on my father, obviously, evidently, for everyone to see, more than just, or as much as when God just watched over him in general. And so not only did God watch over him, but they even marked him and said, this man is 18, this man is to live. And so that was how I interpreted that over all these years. But as a child, I would ask him when I was 8, I'd say, Dad, I said, my dad was never embarrassed to have his number out. He'd wear short sleeve shirts. He would work outside on the lawn. He would do whatever, have some activities with me. But he wasn't embarrassed to have his short sleeve shirt on. So I asked him, I said, Dad, where did that number come from? Why do you have that number on your arm? And he'd say, shh, don't tell your mother. That's my girlfriend's phone number. But I was only 8 years old. How could I have understood the atrocities and the history that goes to that number, how it was applied onto his skin, for example, or what it meant for him to go through an SS guard, and if he didn't have the number exposed or on him, that it would mean he would be sent to death. He didn't know all those. He didn't want to share all that with me at 8. So he told me a funny story.
Be safe.
My dad sometimes evaluates people and wonders, in his mind, he says, would this person have lived and gone through the concentration and have been
You think
saved?
I would have been safe?
And my dad has this ability.
So you think I would have been safe in the camp because I was...
Not the camp. You wouldn't go to camp, maybe.
Really? And my blue eyes, would that have stopped
It may have helped. It didn't help everyone, of course.
I don't think it helps him when I go to the Middle East.
You help him with the bear and everything. He would go to Auschwitz straight, right straight.
It's just my dad has that interesting evaluation. But actually, after going through what he went through, I believe my brother and I are pretty normal. Going through
It's
all
amazing.
of that in a big way. I have friends that aren't so normal,
Right.
whose parents were like that.
Right.
But my dad had a pretty clean and simple philosophy. You work hard, get educated, make some money, save your money, and you'll be okay.
But even
And
his
give back to your community. That
his
was a big
ability to
thing.
lightheartedly share that little
True.
humor with you.
True.
I don't see bitterness. I don't see anger, on a much smaller scale, but still grand to Alveda King. Lost her father in the civil rights and her uncle in the civil rights movement here. There's no bitterness in her heart whatsoever. And the words she has can bring a soothing, healing power in situations where there are strife and unrest today. But I see in both of you this sweet spirit, and it can only be from the Holy Spirit, I think.
Tamara, you have to have faith. My father's one of the most faithful men I know, and my mother as well.
I do lots of things, right? Not right.
He's not saying he's
None of
innocent,
us
he's
are
pure.
none of us are perfect.
We're not
None
perfect.
of us have to be perfect. There was only one who was. So none of us have to be perfect. But we
My
do
father
we
always
do
says
need
at
to be
least one of us
forgiven.
made it.
We do need to be forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
And by your forgiving others, I think that's what gives you your freedom. Beyond the liberation at Dachau, the fact that you have been able to forgive, there is a freedom for you. If you can't forgive, it keeps you in the prison. It keeps you in the bondage. My husband says it causes you to eat Pepto-Bismol while your enemy is out having cherry cheesecake.
I like that.
So you need to forgive. Forgiveness is one. Forgiveness takes just one. Reconciliation takes two. We're not always talking about reconciliation. Sometimes that's not possible in a situation where you have someone who may still do harm. Even in families today, we have situations, unfortunately, where there are members who would do harm. But forgiveness is necessary, even when reconciliation is not.
But one thing I don't like it. We got 3 people who are people.
I think my father's referring to the ISIS situation where
Yes.
the Americans had their
I
heads
was
cut
in
off.
Auschwitz. I was in Birkenau. I was in
Yes.
Dachau. I was all over. He never cut the throat.
Right.
He kill you. He shoots you and everything. He throw you in the oven, but he never cut the throat. How come nobody say nothing?
Today,
Right.
let's talk about that. I want to talk about your numbers, and then let's talk about what's happening in today.
How come? How come the president or anybody don't say nothing?
Some people are. I just attended a security.
Because sooner or later, if you let go of like this, there could be the second Holocaust.
You're absolutely right, and that's exactly what I want to get to. You're absolutely right, and we're
This
seeing
is my
it.
opinion. Don't call me. You know.
But it's your
I'm not a
experience.
politician.
It's your wisdom and your experience that you see it. The pictures that I showed you of Dachau, that sweet soldier kept those hidden until he realized we must share them today.
I was in camp with anybody, with bishops, with cardinals, with
It didn't matter.
Catholics, Protestants, mafia, gangsters, anybody I was. But I never saw cutting the, I saw the castration. I found out, you know what I mean. They did the ladies, they did the women, the men. They did the ladies, especially to the twins. He did it, Dr. Mengele, because he was one of the top doctors in the world.
Evil.
He
Evil.
He was evil.
And so, while I'm thinking of it, Governor Huckabee, when we were standing at Birkenau, made this statement. These were your most educationally trained, your elite, your intellectual leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how they use their gifts from God to systematically destroy the greatest number of people they possibly could in the most efficient, cleanest way possible. I think that's why you didn't see the cutting, is they didn't want to deal with the mess.
Right.
So they used their gifts in the most vile way possible. And you just mentioned, what are we doing today? I would say today in America, we have our most...
Of course, not just America. America cannot be all over. You know.
Right.
Let's face it. He don't have to support the whole world. But this kind of stuff, don't let it go too much.
Right. But look here in America.
But still, nobody say nothing. Okay, How many Christians they killed like this?
Right.
Okay, who's the next?
And was it
Israel would have been destroyed long time ago. If he didn't have the stuff to destroy half a world, he would have been destroyed.
You're
Because
talking about
he
Iran?
got more people
Or Israel.
than the bullets, you know what I mean? He got more people than bullets, you know what I mean? So Israel would have been finished. But Israel got, like everybody else, if I go try to take something with me,
yes?
not by myself.
And I loved how did Netanyahu say
Netanyahu.
it at AIPAC? We're fighting for survival. Do you remember the phrase he said there? You're fighting for your safety, but we're fighting for our survival.
That's right.
Two or three different things he said. When Netanyahu spoke, he was just so articulate and so there was such a peace about him when he spoke in the Congress as well. But I want to come back on this note. You were talking about how they systematically used their gifts in such an evil way. Look what here in America today. We're talking about not letting this happen again. But we have our doctors, our medically trained, our scientists using their gifts to come up with the cleanest, most efficient way, that pill, to kill that baby in the womb, to kill the quickest, the largest number of people most efficiently. So in some way, we are still allowing that genocide today in America. We just don't see the crematoriums. If abortion factories had smokestacks, maybe now we'd pay attention to what we're allowing happen to our babies right here in America. So it is happening again today. But you bring up the danger of ISIS, the danger of Iran.
About everybody. Because if they start religion, it's no good.
Without religion.
No good.
If they start after people that have faith.
And-
If they're going to start after, my father would say, if they start after the Christians who have faith, then eventually they'll end up with the Jews again anyway.
Okay, Hitler started at least with Jews. He didn't have
Yes.
nobody else. Okay.
But then
He
he
had
ended up-
Christians, he had Catholics, but he didn't. But
Eventually they did.
what's the matter? You got Christians, so what? Christian, Catholics, same thing almost.
We just need to listen when somebody says we're here to annihilate you.
Right.
We need to listen that they're here and they're serious with what they're saying.
And too often they don't say, Iran at least is being honest.
yeah.
But there are others who are not being so honest, and they just want to control us here in America. They're already starting their persecution on the Christians. We're seeing ministers being threatened with jail if they don't agree
How
or
come the Catholic don't say something? How come? Okay, it's politics a little bit. You don't have nothing in the synagogues or the churches. I don't think so. But it's right. A priest or a rabbi shouldn't mix up in politics. But I take advantage. I'm in a free country.
yes,
I can say what I
you've
want.
earned the right.
I never miss voting because this was my pleasure. For who I vote, I don't know.
He educates himself pretty well. Don't let him
know.
fool you.
Sure.
If I like the name, that's it.
And elections have consequences.
Yeah,
We
of
have
course.
what we allow. We elect who we have. So if you don't like who's there now, it's you who brought them here. Here in America, we can't blame a king. We can't blame a dictator. We, the people,
Right,
have
right,
the power.
right. If it wouldn't be for Iowa, he wouldn't be president.
That's somewhat true too. I want
Kennedy
to come
wouldn't
back.
be president if it wouldn't be for Chicago, for Daley.
I want to come back to your arm, and I want people to see your arm, and I want them to see that it adds up to 18. And the fact, I just think Proverbs says that the power of life and death is in the tongue. Speak life. And I don't think you even knew it. But when you walked into that camp and they ask you your age, you chose life. You give God the credit, but you chose life with 18. Your numbers add up to 18. God had his hand upon you, and I'm so thankful he did. I'm so very thankful he did. But I thank you for not being bitter, for making life better, and helping the rest of us catch this, learn this, that we may not allow it to happen again, as we're talking about
Let's
right
hope.
now.
If not, I wouldn't do it. 20, 30 years ago, I wouldn't do it. First of all, I was a working alcoholic
Workaholic.
A workaholic.
because I wanted my kids to have education.
Yeah.
I don't have it. I want them to have. I still got the first dollar.
Well, Tamara, you
I
asked
love this country.
Tamara, you asked some very
It's
good
only
and
the
provocative
people that
questions.
difference.
Thank you. You really did. You asked some great provocative questions. Every time I'm here visiting, even as over 50-year-old man, I'm listening to stories about my dad, and
Well, the last
they're
one
sometimes
was
a little
the
bit
doctors
different.
in college.
Sometimes they're a little different. So thank you.
Is it
When
how-
I met you, I say to Michael, because I told him, Michael, don't take no orders anymore. Let's have a little time. But we saw you, I say, no, to this lady we go.
Tamara, yeah.
Now, see, I
You've-
made it through
both
without
of you
crying,
obviously,
and now you're going to make me cry. I
both
made
of
it
you
through.
obviously had a special bond. And
We
so
did
he,
immediately.
He said, whatever Tamara says to schedule a time to visit, let's do it.
Immediately, you had my
But
heart.
one fella who was by the doctors, he was a teacher or something. He had pictures from Dachau too.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's just as good I couldn't find mine today so I could hold it together.
There you go.
It might have been too much for me to see those pictures.
If he go next time to Florida, I got a book. With Dachau and everything. The crematoriums and everything.
And you met your wife in the displacement camp?
Mm-hmm.
And you were married when you got out?
1949.
1949.
66 years.
6 months before I come to this country. I got a picture where I go to on the train going to the boat.
It's in the book.
I got the pictures, the wedding pictures from
Oh,
Germany.
it is in the book. I should open it up. And so I guess I would say this to our listeners. For those of you who think you're struggling today, you're struggling, I doubt, anything near what David Wolnerman has endured. If David Wolnerman can endure camp after camp, hard labor, the visual experiences of putting people in or out of an oven, watching friends with their family members being lost, realizing how many family members were lost, and yet look at this gentleman, this darling gentleman who has survived, who is strong, who is healthy, who has raised 2 wonderful sons from what I can tell, who are productive, giving back to society. If he can overcome, forgive, and be bright and pleasant as he is today, you can overcome whatever it is you're dealing with. Whatever it is you think is unbearable, unforgivable, I would ask you to take it to God just like David did.
Mm-hmm.
And ask for forgiveness and ask for the ability to overcome and to show you a brighter way. But this is the picture of Yanka
Right, my mom.
and David.
You like the name?
I love that name.
The Spanish people say Bianca.
Yanka. All right, gentlemen, we have 2 minutes left. I want to give you the last word. Anything that you would like to say to our listeners in parting?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say, Tamara, thank you again for having us here. It's a real pleasure to expose this to more people and through your show, which is just wonderful. And certainly this great relationship that I've seen now firsthand, you and my father have, which is a uniquity. My dad seems to always carry an aura, some kind of presence about him, whether it's for me or friends of mine or other people that they first meet. And so I'm just thrilled that you two have that. And thank you again for including us.
My pleasure, my honor. I am so humbled that God allowed me to stumble across the path of David Wolnerman.
It's definitely a divine intervention.
I got one thing to say.
Okay.
If it wouldn't be you, I wouldn't be here.
You are so sweet. And if it weren't for God and the grace of God.
And we have to forgive,
Yeah.
but don't forget.
And I think that's the best message for all of us today. Even in America, with all the luxury we have, we want peace in the Middle East, and yet we don't have peace across the dining room table in our homes. So if you're listening, I don't know what your situation is, but see what you can do to make it better. Maybe you're the one who needs to ask for forgiveness of another family member. See what you can do to make it better. Peace in our homes, peace in our nations, peace across the world. But if not, Israel will protect herself, and America will stand with her. Because the Bible is quite clear of the covenant God has with Israel and with America because of the way we honor Israel, and we will stand with her because of Genesis, I believe, is it 2050 or 5020? I get that mixed up. But God will bless those who bless Israel, and he'll curse those who curse Israel. So it's quite clear for all of us. Thank you for joining us. You've been given great information, and now you're responsible with what you're going to do with it. Be encouraged and never be complacent. The book is called A Lucky Lie, available at abookbyme.com. Thank you, Deb Bowen, for making that possible.